Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Here this evening. Our Mayor, Rick Watt, could not be with us tonight. He had some important family business to attend to, and of course, that's certainly more important than being here with us this evening, but we wish him very well and safe travels for his family. And as always, we will begin our meeting in prayer, and we ask for the invocation from Reverend Joe Bowles and be followed by, with Shiloh Baptist Church, followed by our flag salute.
It's always good to be here. This is a great commission. I've known some of them a long time. And we just really need to pray for our city, our country, everything that's gone on this past year. And in fact, let's just go to the Lord in prayer now. Father, you are so good and kind and gracious and benevolent and tender-hearted, hardened and forgiving. And Lord, we know you said, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then you will hear from heaven and forgive their sin. Lord, we pray for healing. We pray for our people to be united together in one cause. Thank you, God, for our city, our county, our state, all of those who are leaders there. But God, most of all, we ask you to lead us and guide us in everything that we do. And we pray, God, for everybody that's here tonight, we might be able to even share what we know about you to others. Thank you for your son, Jesus, who loved us enough to die on the cross so we could live forever. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen. We'll wait for the flag to come up for those that are watching remotely on the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, next item.
Public comments.
If you would like to address the commission this evening, please come forward to the podium. And Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments from those that are in attendance online?
We don't receive public comments for attending online, but we did not receive any prior to distribute to the commission.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to address the commission at this time? This is a public hearing. Would anybody like to address the commission at this time? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Madam Clerk, next item.
Consent agenda.
Would any, before we vote on the consent agenda, would any of the commissioners like to have any item voted on separately? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the commission?
Move for approval.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Please place your votes. And the votes pass 4-0 on the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, next item.
Reports of officers, boards, and committees.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and good evening, Commissioners. I do want to touch very quickly on the consent agenda. I know you all read the agenda reports and you're aware of this, but I did want to point out for the public, you approved a resolution authorizing negotiation with Truist Bank regarding our bond refinancing, and I'm sure you noticed in the agenda report that we got an interest rate far better than what was anticipated. It's at 1.03%. I believe we had originally estimated somewhere around 1.4, and that is going to make a difference in the amount of funds that will be available for our projects. So that's a very significant item that was on the consent agenda, and I just wanted to make mention of that for our audience, both here and anybody virtually. A very important step, and we will hopefully be bringing back very good news for you in one of our soon-to-be-held upcoming meetings. Referring to my city manager's report, I provided you with the quarterly financial report, the quarterly investment report, and also the month of October social media report from Fried Egg. And I do want to clarify that you may notice that the activity levels on our social media, in particular Facebook, are down quite a bit. That is because Facebook implemented a policy of throttling governments and others from posts and so forth, and that has affected our monthly report. So if you compare one report to another, you may wonder why the difference in the outreach and the numbers, and that is why. And we hope to see that begin to go back up soon. And I do have an update presentation for you tonight, and this regards our CARES Act funding. And I just wanted to give you an update on where we're at and let you know where we're headed. As you know, the city received $4 million from Hillsborough County from the CARES Act funding that they received. And we've been working on a plan for expending that money. All of our expenditures have to fall within the CARES Act guidelines. While we were doing that, the county then gave us another $2 million, bringing the total to $6 million. And we are working diligently on various projects that will expend that money, and it all has to be spent by the end of this calendar year, December 30th. Currently, and you will recall in a previous meeting, you authorized me to go ahead and do what needed to be done to let contracts and commit the funds, and we have been very active in that, as you're about to see. So I thought that I wanted to give you an update, and I also want to mention to you that the $2 million additional funding that was approved by the county commission during the week. During the week I was on vacation. I can't remember the dates, but it was during the week I was on vacation. So we will be bringing back a addendum at the next meeting for your approval regarding that $2 million. The agreement is the same. There's a very simple addendum to account for the additional $2 million, bringing the total CARES Act funding to $6 million. With that, I have asked our Professional Standards Director, Trey Tolles, to deliver tonight's presentation. He is one of the key people on our CARES Act team, as you will see, and is in a good position to give us this quick update. So with that, Mr. Tolles.
Good evening, Commissioners. Trey Tolles, Professional Standards Director, as the City Manager said. This is a CARES Act update. I'll go right into it. The Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, or CARES Act, was approved by Congress and signed into law on March 27, 2020. The act included approximately $150 billion for local and state governments. The act provided that funds could be used to cover COVID-19 related expenses for the public health emergency. And the timeline for those expenses would have been between March 1st, 2020 and December 30th, CARES Act generally limits those expenditures to expenditures directly related to public health emergencies. You can't use it for other items that are not. You can see here where the local funds were allocated. The state of Florida received about $8.328 billion. Approximately 257 million of that went to the state. Went to the county, Hillsborough County, and then another 6 million from the county came down to the city of Plant City. The CARES Act requires that the payments from the coronavirus relief fund only be used to cover expenses that are necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency. Were not accounted for in the budget most recently approved as of March 27. So you cannot use the funds to cover something that would have already been budgeted for. Were incurred during the period that begins obviously on March 1st and ends on December 30th. And per the city's agreement with Hillsborough County, those funds also cannot be spent to duplicate programs offered by the county, such as individual and business relief programs. The deadline, like I've said, for this is December 30th, 2020. And like the city manager said, so all of these programs must be paid for, must be in place, and must be received upon before December 30th of this year. As you can see here in this chart, this is the total allocation of $6 million. 3 million of that went to construction projects, 1.5 million went to safety, and 1.5 million went to technology. Currently, we have $4,026,109 allocated to projects specifically, and we've spent about $1.238 million on that so far. And you can see there breakdowns for the various programs that we've outlined. When we first got into this back in September, we knew we were going to receive CARES funding. We wanted to come up with a way to look at these programs that were being proposed and make a determination on what we were going to spend the money on. So initially, we formed a CARES Act project review team. That team was comprised of the city manager, the assistant city manager, the chief financial officer, and myself. And that role of that team obviously was to review the proposed projects for our department heads, ensure compliance with federal law, and make sure we administer the expenditure of funds and report the funds properly to the federal government. In September of 2020, the very beginning of this, again, we reached out to all of our department directors. We gave them criteria for how to spend the funding. And we asked them to come back to us and tell us what projects they would like to see implemented using this CARES Act funding. And we really wanted it to kind of circle around how we can improve citizen safety and curb transmission of COVID-19, and improve our employee safety and curb transmission here in the workplace, support remote working initiatives, support distance learning for both customers and employees, and support the dissemination of public information, encourage customer employee social distancing, and to reduce exposure to our first responders. So that was the criteria we gave them, and then they subsequently returned to us with some programs they wanted to see paid for. After reviewing the evaluation of each of those programs, we came up with 89 major projects, which are currently approved, and those include 47 construction and remodeling projects, 26 safety and PPE, PPE is personal protective equipment related projects, and 16 technology related projects. And again, the technologies to support remote working initiatives, distance learning, public information meetings, and so on. Back in October, because of the number and complexity of the currently approved projects for construction, we thought it would be good to go out and get a construction manager at risk, one who could oversee all of these construction projects, tie them all together, and get it done under this timeline. So we put out some pretty strict criteria, and upon evaluating the return bids, Manhattan Construction came out on top by far. And that's because their previous experience with the CARES Act projects, they recently finished another project up north, and it was very similar to what we're doing, so we like that. They have a number of employees. They're a nationwide company, so they're able to take all of the resources and put them to bear here in Plant City, and they've dedicated to getting our projects done. They have a demonstrated ability to complete projects on time, and we had verified positive reviews from previous clients. This is a survey that we sent out to see what they've done in the past, got those surveys back, and they were all glowing recommendations for this company. And these are independent people, and Manhattan has no idea that, what they're said when they send these surveys back. And then overall cost of the project also. They came in with a fantastic quote for us as far as what it would cost the city in the end. As far as construction projects go, following construction projects are underway to mitigate the transition of COVID-19. So we're remodeling 69 existing workspaces here at City Hall and the Police Department. We're redesigning employee sanitation stations and workspaces at Solid Waste, remodeling customer service counter at Parks and Recreation Administration Building. We're installing nearly 1,000 touchless fixtures and water fountains across the city, installing glass barriers when necessary citywide at desks and kiosks, redesigning the city clerk's office to limit unnecessary foot traffic in that area of City Hall, installing additional touchless proximity cards readers at City Hall. So those areas where you have to use a key to get in, you no longer have to do that. It's a card reader. And installation of touchless sliding doors at both main entrances of City Hall. You can see in the photo on your right, when we talk about remodeling the 69 workspaces, that's what we're thinking, or that's what we are doing rather. That's an aluminum glass workspace. That door slides back and forth. Those walls will go up to about 18 inches off the ceiling, and our employees will be segregated in their own areas so that they can work without worrying about transmission of COVID-19. This is our construction timeline currently. This is as of this week. So you can see here, we start on November 19th. Employees are already, the 9th rather, the employees are already clearing out their workspace and preparing for the installation of these new offices. And then you can see as we go along here throughout the timeline, demolition and construction will begin here at City Hall on November 23rd. It'll begin in sections. So we'll do one section first, and then we'll start the next section on November 30th. We'll move down to the police department while remaining in the construction phase here at City Hall beginning on December 7th. And then all of the projects will be tied up and completed by December 30th. And we expect we'll be back in the work area on January 11th. Our safety and PPE projects, I won't go over all of these, but these are underway also to protect employees and customers and to reduce exposure to our first responders. We purchased 2 ambulance sanitization units, additional bunker gear for our firefighters to allow them to clean their gear between uses, face masks, protective gloves, mobile and fixed hand sanitizer units, body temperature scanners, portable hand wash stations, bunkers and sprayers to sanitize high traffic areas and playgrounds, and portable glass barriers to use during programs and events. And finally, our technology programs. These are programs to support remote working, social distancing, and distance education. So we purchased 92 laptop computers, 20 Apple iPads, and associated peripherals. 5 of those iPads will go to city commissioners to do remote work. So each of you will receive a brand new iPad with all the peripherals included, so you can work from home in the event that we have to change the meeting styles once again. Upgrading our virtual meeting capabilities citywide. We're also installing touchless time clock software for city employees, 4 contactless utility payment kiosks for remote bill pay. Currently, we're looking at placing those kiosks throughout the city so that you don't have to come to City Hall to pay your utility bill any longer. You'll be able to go to the city, get to Martin Community Center and pay your bill there, and then wherever else we choose in the city. We're also purchasing a virtual training software for employees, a citizen mobile and virtual incident reporting system that's software-based, and virtual programming equipment for library distance learning programs. And also we're upgrading our payment devices for Parks and Recreation. That's the concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
You spent you've amortized $4 million of that. So the question is, are there projects to be done to consume the use of the remaining funding available, or do we give it back?
This is an update as to where we're at now. I didn't want to continue with this level of activity. You're about to see a lot of construction begin, and I wanted you to be aware of what was going on. Yes, the goal is to maximize the investment that the county has given us, and this is a milestone report. We continue to work on additional projects. These are the ones that are already in the pipeline as of today. And like I say, I just wanted you all to be aware because you're about to see a lot of activity.
But also understood that we have to have this finished by the end of the year.
Yes.
And hey,
Yes,
So that's pretty ambitious.
yes. Well, you can see we've already spent a million, so
And
we're working hard at it.
and you haven't talked about the other third, the other $2 million of the $6 million. I don't even know how you're going to accomplish it. I guess you will. We'll see come
We'll see.
December 31st.
And I'll be honest, I don't have any realistic expectation that we will expend the entire $6 million. And any that we don't expend will be returned to the county. But we are going to leave as little on the table as possible because this is a large organization. We're spread out over an awful lot of area. We have a lot of assets in the way of facilities, and we have a lot of things that our employees can benefit from under the CARES Act qualifications and guidelines, and we are going to maximize the investment while it's available to us. Will we hit the whole 6 million? Probably not, but we're going to give it the college try and get as close as we can because these are things that will have long-term lasting impacts for us. Not only will this end up mitigating the transmission of COVID-19, but every year we have a flu season and you have other communicable illnesses that go around, and these same mitigation strategies will benefit us with that. Eliminating contact points for our employees and the public that come in. You know, I hesitate to count how many hundreds, if not thousands people a day touch the door handles coming in and out of City Hall. And when Mr. Charles mentioned almost 1,000 fixtures, these are in our restrooms, which are publicly accessible. We have, we'll be having touchless sinks, paper towel dispensers, soap dispensers, and so forth, door openers, anything we can do to reduce the opportunity to spread COVID-19, and then as we go forward, anything else that is transmissible in the way of bacteria and virus. So no, we probably won't spend the whole 6 million, but we will give it the best possible effort.
I bet you can get there.
But Diane will tell you, don't underestimate me when it comes to spending money. And I think, quite frankly, when you look at the short period of time and what we've been able to accomplish, and, you know, quite frankly, I wanted to do something meaningful with this. You know, we're building in infrastructure and we're making physical changes to our facilities that will have a lasting impact, and we're trying to make this investment as meaningful as possible. And it also gives us contingencies. The technology development that we're doing is going to give us capabilities that, quite frankly, when we started the COVID-19 incident, we did not have the capabilities. And I think you're all aware, we put together remote working on the fly, and we were able to put a significant number of our employees on remote work without really having the assets and the capability to do it. This is fixing that, and that's why you see us investing so much in laptops, iPads, and so forth. That's not because we were looking for fancy equipment. That's what we needed and discovered that we lacked when we needed to send people out for remote working, and we are addressing those gaps. And I see that very much as a business continuity strategy as well. So a lot of impacts.
So the addition of all of the laptops and iPads, even those that are intended for our use, then they have no limits of use on them, not limited to solely dealing with COVID. Then if you use for any business activity of the city, once they're in our possession, they're only being purchased as a result of the funding coming in from the COVID relief.
That's correct. And you'll be able to do your commission agendas on them, and the things that you might do now, it'll be updated and more capable, and it will also support, if we have to go back to a virtual meeting posture, you'll be in a much better position to engage in virtual meetings and communication.
We have certainly been done a lot of work here. It's very impressive just to see the progress that's been made so far, you know, going from September 30 to today. And, you know, I really respect the thoughtfulness of all of it. You know, regardless of where the source of the funding comes from, we've got a responsibility to use those dollars wisely. And obviously, you've been very thoughtful in thinking about how to do that. So it's very much appreciated. Any other comments or questions for our city manager, Mr. Tolles?
Good report, Mr. Tolles.
Fantastic.
Thanks, sir.
Before I wrap up, I do want to mention that, as you know, we are moving forward with our police chief selection process. And I'm going to get the date wrong, November 19th, Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Sadie Gibbs Martin Community Center. We will have the public meet and greet session with our 4 police chief finalists. Everyone in the city is welcome to come out and meet these candidates, interact with them, ask them questions, listen to what they have to say. This is a tremendous opportunity for you to meet them and have some interaction with them. Again, Thursday, November 19th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Sadie Gibbs Martin Community Center. We are holding this particular event inside the gymnasium, where, as you know, we have a lot of space. All the COVID-19 screening and precautionary measures will be in place, social distancing, wear your mask, but this is your chance to come out and meet these candidates. And I look forward to a good turnout from our community to interact. And we'll also be doing surveys. You'll have a little survey card you can fill out and leave behind for our review and consideration. And I plan to be there talking to citizens as well to get some feedback from them. With that, that concludes my report, and I stand for any additional questions.
So I think, Mr. City Manager, as it relates to the hiring of the police chief, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, that, we as a commission hire a city manager who has the autonomy to make the decision about our police chief. And I think you've really gone above and beyond with this process, understanding the significance of the hire, doing a nationwide search, setting up this forum, giving ample opportunity for citizens and commission to participate and be part of the process and give feedback for what is a very important hire for us. So I think it's a great process. I'm very pleased with the process. And I think it's important that our citizens understand how that works so that they're informed and aware of how important it is for them to participate in this, and that their feedback is valuable and important to the process for us. So we hope that people will participate. Is all that factual, sir?
Everything you said is factual.
Very good.
Has the police chief agreed to stay on as long as necessary for the transition to occur after the hire is complete?
He agreed to stay as long as I needed him to, with the understanding that I would expedite it as much as I possibly could.
So we'll have him basically through the end of the year? More or less?
That's our gentleman's agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, and if everything goes well and we get through this 3-day process, quite frankly, I intend to take time and be thoughtful about my final decision, but I anticipate getting it wrapped up probably no later than the end of November and making the selection, and that would give us ample time to do a transition between the new chief and Chief Duncan.
Certainly, it doesn't hurt, as most people are aware, that you are our former police chief and know all too well the qualities and the characteristics of the individual that needs to fill that role. So that's also very much beneficial to us in this process. Mr. City Attorney.
No report, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Madam Clerk.
No report.
Commissioner Mathis.
Yes, first of all, I want to say thank you to our city manager for the great report, Mr. Trey Tolles for that report and the work on that CARES Act funding. And I'm agreeing with Vice Mayor. I'm sure you'll get very close to spending that $6 million. Also, I want to say thank you too for the process that you have been able to create for the new police chief hire. And I think the meet and greet is going to be a great opportunity for citizens to meet those candidates. 2 other things, when people give to the city, we need to say thank you. First thing I want to say is there a group that came together, and Commissioner Sparkman was there, and the mayor was a patriotic prayer service that we had on November 2nd in McCall Park. It was well attended, and we had pastors in this community, and even Charlene Clossy did the national anthem. Some very powerful prayers went up at McCall Park, and I just want to acknowledge them and say thank you. Also, at our new Sadie Gibbs Martin Community Center, I don't know if you know this, but I want to give a shout out to the Optimist Club. There are 2 electronic scoreboards that they have donated to the city. And I want to, if they're listening, to say thank you, thank you, thank you. They've had one tournament up there so far, and I was up there today picking up my grandson, and they have another one, I think, coming up in December, I believe. So thank you to the group that put on that prayer service, and thank you so much to the Optimist Club for their donation to the city. And that ends my report, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Mathis. Commissioner Dodson.
I don't know if y'all picked up on this, but I did. I wanted to comment on it because it amused me. As part of the social media report that's produced by Fried Egg, as you know, the city manager works hard on updating information for various needs of the community with videos. And among the new videos that he's created, there is one that stands out apparently because it's reached more people than any other video that's been produced, and it has to do with Bill's favorite places in Plant City.
That's great.
It wasn't to do with any of the other construction projects or any of the other things that we've been up to for the last several months. It had to do with favorite places, and I thought that was very pretty cool, actually. I haven't even watched that one, so I'll have to go back and see where your favorite places are, city manager, in Plant City. But that was the one that stood out in the social media report as the one that's been seen the most. You're a star now.
Above and beyond, there's no information that's too unimportant for our citizens and communities. We got to get it all out there.
That's all.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Dawson. Commissioner Spark.
No report at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. So again, very thankful to all the hard work for everybody in the city. We talked a lot about the heavy lift here on the contract for the CARES Act funds. Of course, to see the, even the improvement on the Truist refinancing. I'm fond of saying that we'll squeeze a nickel so hard we get a dime, and that's just another great example of how we do things here. So thank you so much to our CFO and our city manager for a job well done there. And I also just wanted to comment on our Veterans Day, and also our city attorney, who was very involved in these things as well. I don't want to forget you. Our Veterans Day, coming up this week, we do have a ceremony tomorrow at the Peace Garden. Remind me the exact name of the cemetery, Mr. City Manager. Garden of Peace Cemetery here in Plant City, where we'll be dedicating a gravestone for Vietnam veteran, and I can't think of anything more appropriate to do to celebrate Veterans Day than that activity. It's 4 o'clock tomorrow for anybody who might want to attend, and certainly just want to take a moment, as we will be celebrating that this week, to send out thanks and gratitude from all of us at the City of Plant City for those who are serving in our armed forces and who have served, and for those who have lost their lives and gone on, for protecting our freedoms and all that means to us. We are a very patriotic community, and we appreciate our service members and also our first responders very much. And you'll hear that many, many times here at the City Commission. We can't say it enough. We very much appreciate all of you for all that you do for us. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item.
Legislative public hearings. This is a public hearing on a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, relating to proposed map amendment to the comprehensive plan and directing the city manager to transmit copies of the said amendment to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and other agencies as provided by law, and announcing the intention to schedule a second public hearing for adoption of the proposed map amendment upon receipt of written comments from the Department of Economic Opportunity, PC/CPA 20-05.
I believe we have a presentation on this item tonight from Mr. Hudson.
Yes, Mark Hudson, Planning Commission staff. Vice Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I see the technician has brought up my PowerPoint. The Planning Commission has been processing 2 plan amendments for the City of Plant City this cycle. The first is PC/CPA 20-05. And of course, this is a transmittal hearing. We expect the consideration of the City Commission for adoption in the January of 2021. If I could have the next slide. This is the location of the plan amendment. It's east of North Park Road, north of Interstate 4, west of North Waller Road and south of East Sam Allen Road. As I already mentioned, it's PCCPA 20-05. It's in very close proximity to the activity center that's shown on your vision map, located at Park Road and Interstate 4. And it is also associated with the proposed new location of the South Florida Baptist Hospital. If I could have the next slide. This shows you the area that's in question for this plan amendment. It is surrounded by the lavender dashed line. The applicant's proposal is for this land and those to the west that are at the corner of East Sam Allen Road and North Park Road to be combined into the new site for the South Florida Baptist Hospital. The site that is surrounded by the lavender line is part of a voluntary annexation and will of course go through this plan amendment process and ultimately through the rezoning process. If I could have the next slide. By way of a little bit of background, I've already noted this has been privately initiated. Since it's over 10 acres, we are required, if the commission so desires, to transmit this to the Department of Economic Opportunity in Tallahassee for their comment. It comes in at just a hair over 20 acres. All the parcels involved have a Hillsborough County Residential 1 plan category, and the applicant has requested Plant City Commercial. If I could have the slide. This is the adopted future land use map for Plant City as it stands today. You can see the commercial corridor that is between Interstate 4 and East Sam Allen Road along both sides of North Park Road. The plan amendment site, you can see the light green, which represents Hillsborough County Residential 1, and you can see the remaining lands around there either have that plan category or also Hillsborough County Residential 2. Over to the northwest, you can see north of Sam Allen Road, the beginnings of North Park Isles with that brighter yellow color, which is Residential 6. If I could have the next slide. And based on the applicant's request, this will, for your consideration, if the map was approved by the City Commission, ultimately the map would change, showing this area designated with the red Plant City Commercial. If I could have the next slide. I do have some aerials and some photographs to give you a little bit of character of the area, how it looks. You can see the area is predominantly undeveloped now based on this aerial photograph that I provided, which shows you to the northeast at Sam Allen Road and further over to the left of your screen, North Park Road. If I have the next slide. Now, the applicant's agent will share a lot more information about this than I am in my presentation, but this is a drawing or a sketch showing what is envisioned for the new South Florida Baptist Hospital at this location. I have the next slide. Now, I did take some photographs along some of the roadways that surround this site. This one particularly is looking northeast at the intersection of Park Road and Sam Allen Roads. If I could have the next slide. And this is looking south at the map amendment site, which is part of PCCPA 2005. If I could have the next slide. This is looking east along some of the homes on the north side of Sam Allen Road. If I could have the next slide. And though it doesn't quite, but this area, this is some homes looking south along North Waller Road. I could have the next slide. So I'll give you an idea a little bit about what changes in entitlements if this was approved. Currently, it's entitled for 20 dwelling units. That would increase to 64, which is not a drastic increase. The real increase for this plan amendment is currently it has entitlements for about 30,000 square feet of commercial office uses, and that would increase to over 300,000 square feet based on this plan amendment request. I got the next slide. Our staff at the Planning Commission reviewed the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and particularly the future land use amendment, future land use element. And we noted goals, objectives, and policies that we believe in this case support the plan amendment. The complete goals, objectives, and policies are in your packet. But for the give you a general idea of some of the areas that we felt it was consistent with. This includes areas concerning neighborhood conservation, community development, enhanced hometown charm. If I could have the next slide. future growth, annexations, because this was a voluntary annexation, commercial development, growth management. If I can have the next slide. And the provision of public facilities and economic growth. Next slide, please. We did talk to your utilities director, and it was determined that there is portable water and wastewater capacity at this location. It will require a planned development rezoning. That is already in the process. I know that was a particular interest to the City Commission and the mayor at our last hearings a couple weeks ago. This plan amendment, the associated rezoning, has been initiated, so they are being reviewed and developed concurrently. There is no school capacity impacts, as it is anticipated to be predominantly public, semi-public, and commercial uses on this site. Next slide. Finally, we have had this reviewed by several boards already. The Planning Commission reviewed this on September 14th, and they found it consistent with the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan. The Plant City Planning Board found the same, came to the same conclusion on September 23rd. We're looking for your direction here tonight at the transmittal hearing on November 9th. If we get your positive direction, we project an adoption hearing in January of 2021. Next slide. So the Planning Commission staff recommends that the City Commission adopt a resolution directing staff to transmit PCCPA 20-05 to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and other state and local agencies for their review and comment as required by Chapter 163 Florida statutes. Vice Mayor, that concludes my presentation, and I stand for any questions. I do know the applicant also has a presentation for you to listen to and consider in your deliberations.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hudson? Thank you, Mr. Hudson. And as he mentioned, the applicant is here, Celise Batzel. If you'd like to address the commission this evening, thank you for being with us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. We are really pleased tonight to bring you the first of several hearings for the new South Florida Baptist Hospital. I'm here tonight with Karen Kerr and members of the construction and design team to the extent that you have questions. As Mark said, the property is approximately 20 acres, and that's the amount of property coming in through this comp plan amendment, although the project is larger. Located at the southern edge of Sam Allen, about 700 feet east of Park Road. It is generally northeast of the I-4 Park Road interchange. The request would be to establish a future land use classification of commercial. We are running two concurrent applications, as Mark mentioned, the annexation application and the plan development rezoning application. And we anticipate that the plan development rezoning and the comprehensive plan amendment would come back before you for final adoption at the same hearing. As you saw, the area in blue is the area proposed to become commercial if you approve the map amendment ultimately. It is now Res 1 in Hillsborough County. Here's the future land use map if adopted. And here's the more interesting slide. If you see the green crosshatched area, although this area that we are proposing the comprehensive plan amendment is only 20 acres, a much larger property will be combined all along the corner of Sam Allen and Park Road. It's approximately 50 some odd acres, and a small area across Park Road to the west. This is just a little teaser preview of the conceptual plan as it stands now. Although we will bring much more information to you when the plan development comes before you, you can see that the hospital is centered towards the middle of the property with very large setbacks and lots of room for parking, retention, as well as a future out parcel. It will include the hospital, medical facilities, and medical offices. Again, Mark stole a little bit of my thunder in sharing the rendering, but this is what the conceptual site plan and architectural rendering is tonight. From a consistency and compatibility standpoint, I won't go over everything that Mark's already told you, but the location is really important. As you know, this is right along a commercial activity center and a commercial node, which makes it prime for this kind of additional redevelopment. Staff has found this application consistent with a number of objectives and policies in the comprehensive plan. and has recommended that you transmit to the state. We are available to answer any questions that you have tonight, and myself, Karen, or the design team. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I do. You mentioned a little parcel that's right across from the hospital on the opposite side of Park Road.
Yes, sir.
And when you flashed by that piece, it wasn't highlighted. Do you have any intentions for it right away?
It's the appropriate, the little piece to the west of Park Road. Yeah, so that was part of the business deal. It was included in the sale, and so we're going to use it for retention.
Retention.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Patterson.
Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk, did anybody contact your office wanting to speak virtually on this item this evening?
No.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. You may come forward if you'd like to address the commission at this time. This is a public hearing. If you'd like to address the commission, please come forward at this time. Hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of the commission?
Move for approval, Your Honor.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please place your votes. And the motion passes with a vote of 4-0. Congratulations, Ms. Kerr, on the first step of many on what's going to be a very exciting project for Plant City.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item.
This is a public hearing on a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, relating to a proposed amendment to the comprehensive and directing the city manager to transmit copies of said amendment to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and other agencies as provided by law, and announcing the intent to schedule a second public hearing for the adoption of proposed map amendment upon receipt of written comments from the Department of Economic Opportunity, PC/CPA 20-06.
Very good. I believe we have another presentation on this from Mr. Hudson.
That is correct, Vice Mayor. Again, Mark Hudson, Planning Commission staff. If we could bring up my PowerPoint, there we go. This is the second of the two plan amendments that I mentioned earlier, PC CPA 20-06. This is also a transmittal hearing. Next slide, please. This is on the southern portion of our community, north of Sparkman Road, west of Jap Tucker Road, south of Jim Johnson Road, and east of the CSX railroad tracks. And you can see its approximate location indicated by the star on the vision map. If I could have the next slide. This shows you a little bit better what the area that is part of this plan amendment, surrounded by the lavender dashed line. As you can see from this area, it was currently an agricultural use. It is connected by Plant City on the western portion of the property line that connects to Walden Woods. And I'll show you that a little bit better in some subsequent slides. Next slide, please. This is, like the last one, a privately initiated plan amendment. 3 parcels totaling almost 29 acres. Like the last plan amendment, it has Hillsborough County Residential 1, but unlike the last one, they are not seeking non-residential uses. They are in fact seeking Plant City Residential 4 for a proposed new subdivision at this location. If I could have the next slide. This shows you the adopted future land use map as it stands today. You can see some of the industrial plan category and the recreation open space plan category that is on the western side of the CS Railroad tracks adjacent to this property. Those areas, of course, within Plant City. To the north, east, and south, those properties remain in unincorporated Hillsborough County and have the light green color of residential 1. If I could have the next slide, please. And this now you see if it was approved by City Commission in January of 2021, the projected hearing date, it would have that light yellow color of Plant City Residential 4, which is 4 dwelling units per acre. If you look up to the northeast portion of this slide, you can see there are some similar annexations that garner the same land use designation as what is being requested by this applicant. If I have the next slide. Like the last one, I have some aerials and some photographs of the area to give you an idea of the character of the community and the surrounding lands. As noted already, the property in question is currently being used for agricultural purposes, and you can see it by the red dot on the aerial. If I could have the next slide. And this shows you the actual site from the roadway level, looking west from Jeb Tucker Road. Next slide. And this is across the street, looking along the east side of Jeb Tucker Road. There are several single-family homes at that location. Next slide. So what are the potential impacts? In this case, it actually increases the residential density opportunities for the applicant. In unincorporated county, there's the opportunity for 28 dwelling units. That would increase to 115 dwelling units based on that 4 dwelling units per acre of the residential floor plan category. Next slide. Our staff did review this again by the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and particularly the future land use element. And the complete goals, objectives, and policies are in your packet. But we felt it was consistent with both the provisions dealing with neighborhood conservation, annexations, growth management, the provision of public facilities. Next slide, please. We also noted that there are some schools that are nearing or at capacity, and this will be required to go through the school concurrency process to ensure the students that are generated by this proposed new subdivision would have adequate space at the grade school, mid school, and high school level. If any transportation improvements are required based on your staff's analysis, they'll be coordinated with Hillsborough County, because many of the roads in this vicinity are Hillsborough County roads. And we did speak with the utilities director and did not see issues concerning the capacity of water and wastewater services at this location. Back to the next slide. This is, of course, doing the same track as the previous plan amendment. We did take this to the Planning Commission on September 14th. They found it consistent with the Imagine 2040 Plant City Comprehensive Plan. The Planning Board made the same finding on September 23rd. We're here to garner your direction for transmittal to DEO tonight, and we would project the adoption hearing in January 2021. It is my understanding from your planning staff that the zoning has been initiated, and hopefully it would be tracking a similar schedule. If I can have the next slide. With that, Planning Commission staff recommends that the City Commission adopt a resolution directing staff to transmit PC CPA 2006 to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and other state and local agencies for their review and comment, as required by Chapter 163 of Florida statutes. And with that, Vice Mayor, I stand for any questions. I do believe the applicant's agent is also in attendance to respond to any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hudson? I believe, as Mr. Hudson had indicated, our applicant is attending. Would the applicant like to speak on this matter?
Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Sarah Case. I'm with Econ South. My address is 6700 South Florida Avenue in Lakeland. With me tonight is one of the owners of the property. There are 3 parcels. Mr. Billy Williams. As indicated by Planning Commission staff, and thank you, Mr. Hudson, for your wonderful presentation, because actually I don't really need to say anything else, I don't think. But again, we are before you for land use amendment that makes this this board's approval to be transmitted to DEO, so that we can get land use assigned for R4 in Plant City. We did submit our application for zoning, and I know that was a concern of yours for previous cases. And I will let you know that we've initiated contact with Hillsborough County School Board. We're working with Matthew Pleasant. There is somewhat of an issue with capacity, but we've prematurely initiated how we can kind of mitigate that. So he was actually surprised that we contacted him this far in advance. So with that, again, we're here asking for R4 land use, and we would appreciate your recommendation of approval to transmit to DEO.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Madam Clerk, has anybody contacted you to speak virtually on this item this evening?
I received nothing.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. Would anybody like to address the commission regarding item 6B on the agenda? Again, this is a public hearing. If you would like to comment on item 6B, you may do so at this time. Seeing none, public comment is closed. What's the pleasure of the commission?
I move to approve the transmittal of this map amendment to the Department of what is it? Department of Economic Opportunity. And John has it.
DEO.
Mouthful. And other agencies that'll be reviewing it before it comes back to us.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding this item? Seeing none, please place your votes. And it passes with a vote of 4-0. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Other resolutions and ordinances. This is an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Plant City, updating the city's 5-year capital improvement schedule pursuant to section 163.3177 Florida statutes and providing for an effective date. I also have a resolution entitled, a resolution providing notice for proposed enactment of an ordinance by the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, as required by section 166.041 Florida statutes and other applicable law. This resolution sets the public hearing on proposed enactment of said ordinance for our next City Commission meeting to be held on November 23rd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m.
It's a pleasure of the commission.
Move to approve the second public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please place your votes. Motion passes with a vote of 4-0. Madam Clerk, next item.
This is an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Plant City, Florida, renaming the North Park Isles Plan Development District as the North Park Isle Plan Development District, zoning approximately 234.61 acres of real property located north of East Sam Allen Road, south of Williams Road, east of Paul S. Buckman Highway, and west of North Wilder Road from Hillsborough AS-1 Agricultural Single Family to PD Plan Development District in accordance with the General Site Development Plan of North Park Isle Plan Development District as filed in the Office of the City Clerk, and approving and adopting the conceptual modification of General Site Development Plan for said district. I also have a resolution entitled, a resolution providing notice of proposed enactment of an ordinance by the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, as required by section 166.041 Florida statute and other applicable law. This resolution sets the public hearing on proposed enactment of said ordinance for our next City Commission meeting to be held on November 23rd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m.
It's a pleasure of the commission.
Move to approve the second public hearing on November 23rd.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Please place your votes. Motion passes with a vote of 4-0. Madam Clerk, next item.
This is an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Plant City, Florida, rezoning an approximately 8.96 acre parcel of land located at the northeast corner of Daniels Road and West Trotmore Road from R-3 Multiple Family Dwelling District to PD Plan Development District in accordance with the General Site Development Plan of Alaventa Plan Development District as filed in the Office of the City Clerk. I also have a resolution entitled, a resolution providing notice of a proposed amendment of an ordinance by the City Commission of the City of Plant City, Florida, as required by section 166.041 Florida statutes and other applicable law. This resolution sets a public hearing on proposed amendment of said ordinance for our next City Commission meeting to be held on November 23rd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m.
It's a pleasure of the commission.
Approve the second public hearing, Your Honor.
Second. We have a motion. Second, please place your votes. The motion passes with a vote of 4-0. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being with us this evening. Yep, absolutely.
In reading the article that was in the paper about Henry Demps, PFC Henry Demps, that passed away in Vietnam, I didn't actually say if he was killed in action, but some reason he was over there in Vietnam and PFC in the Army. This was found out, and the military is providing a headstone for to be put on the grave, and will also be presenting you the flag for your presentation to the family members.
Correct.
So apparently he was killed in action in Vietnam. I recall the name, but it goes way back, and I just can't really recall the whole incident. But so I just wanted to clarify that there will be a full military honor for him that he never gotten before, and that plaque and presentation of the flag. So.
Thank you for expounding on that, Commissioner Sparkman. It's definitely going to be a very special day tomorrow. Our staff has done a great job in working with the family and being able to track them down in Texas, I believe. They won't be able to be in attendance, but we will be presenting them with the flag.
He has a son, and his mother is still alive at 97 years old. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't think of a better thing that we can do to celebrate Veterans Day than what's going to happen tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So thank you for that, Commissioner Sparkman. Any other business before we adjourn this evening?
I'll make a comment. As we were working earlier on this transmittal public hearing, it occurred to me that in our tenure serving on the city commission, we probably all heard at one time or another that it's very unlikely that the city would develop as far east as North Park Road. And there really didn't see that happening. But no, it's not only developing on North Park Road, it's developing on South 39, it's developing on County Line Road. And it occurs to me that we are a city that's definitely on the move. We are in a significant growth mode. And it means a lot economically for the advancement of the community as a whole, the welfare of the folks that live here, and the prosperity that will come from it with all that will accrue. We're thankful for it.
It is hard, but to get what we came from.
Exactly.
It's hard, for us. Then 35 years, it's really changed a lot.
Yeah. Sam Allen Road was rural.
But progress is progress. Good progress, and I think we've done it right in our parks and recreation, different areas, public safety and all that stuff. So I concur with you.
I think it speaks to the importance of the comprehensive plan and long-range planning and visioning. You know, part of the fruits of this is the Northeast Master Plan, being intentional about industrial progress on County Line Road. Where do certain types of developments go? What makes the most sense for our citizens and all the issues that we face. And time is going to march on, as Commissioner Sparkman said, but we have a responsibility to make sure that we do it in a way that's sustainable and appropriate for our community. And I think that's part of what we're trying to do, and I think we are doing. So appreciate those comments. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you all being with us this evening. Remember, it's always a great day in Plant City. Make sure you tell somebody about it, and this meeting is adjourned.